The Super Mario Galaxy movie. That's what I'm reviewing today. This is gonna be an interesting one because the discourse around this movie has been quite the discourse. But before we get into this, you know what to do. Be sure to subscribe if you're new, hit the bell, leave a comment, or I will destroy your galaxy. Which is not my galaxy, okay? It's different. So, I'm a big Mario fan. Big Nintendo fan, really. I'm sure if you've watched this channel for any amount of time, you know, I love Mario, I love Nintendo, I love all that. You know, my favorite game series of all time is Super Smash Bros, right? So, a Mario movie, I was excited to see the first one, I was excited to see this one. My thoughts on the first one was, it was a solid movie for what it was. It's not trying to be high cinema, it's not trying to be this big, layered, story-driven movie, but like, it gets the job done. This movie is strange in that regard. I'll get into that though. To get into the positives, if you're going into it with, you know, just like wanting to see just Nintendo and Mario references and Easter eggs galore, you're gonna get that. You get that, like, and then some. Like there are so many like characters, so many like cool references. It's, you know, you come to it for that and you get that. Whether it be like the music's another thing. One of my issues with the first Mario movie that I think a lot of people also had was when they would, you know, randomly shoehorn in like random licensed music. You know, like Mario has like a huge library of iconic tunes. Why would you not go with that? You know, and then most of the time you did go with that, so to just randomly go with Take On Me just felt very odd. They didn't really do that. They used one licensed song in this movie, but that actually was cool when they did that. But yeah, the music, like the score, I mean, and like the visuals, you can tell maybe they didn't spend a whole lot of time on the story, but you can definitely tell they spent a lot of time and a lot of money on those visuals, because this movie, the animation looks fucking amazing. The thing is though, look, so the discourse around this movie is a bit exhausting, and it kind of reminds me a bit of like the first movie. You know, people, you know, critics were not kind to it. Critics gave it low scores because it's very light on story. And also, if you're not a Mario fan, if your job is just to go into new movies and watch them and review them, and you're not a Mario fan, of course you're not gonna be too high on this movie. But in a weird way, it wasn't made for people like that. It was made for people like me and probably you, assuming you're also a Mario fan, who eat this stuff up, right? That's not to excuse like a lackluster story. You know, that does inherently like mean that the movie is made for a specific type of audience, right? Which could be a problem in and of itself. But I think the first movie was enjoyable for what it was, and so was the second one. I thought Mario Galaxy was very enjoyable. You know, it moves at like a very fast pace. You know, it doesn't drag, but the problem is, yeah, the story is not there. And I get it, we're going into a Mario movie, and I think Miyamoto, who's directly involved with this movie, never really cared much about story, right? The problem here, though, is that, you know, when you're playing a game, story's not that important, especially in a game like Mario, right? Story's not that important because you got a game to play. There's still another like activity that you're doing, you know. The main thing that you should worry about when it comes to playing a game is playing the game, the gameplay and all that. A movie is almost entirely reliant on a story, on the plot. And when this movie doesn't really have that, it's like, like this is a very weird spot. Like, I enjoyed the movie for what it was, which was a Mario Nintendo cameo fest, right? It's like, you know, it's something that we kind of criticize like Marvel movies for, you know, or stuff like that, for just being cameo fests, when really like you come to a movie like this for that. That's all you want out of this, really. But this one, it feels a little more egregious in this one than it did in the first movie, right? Like there are characters like you got. I'll just list like Wart. You know, it was cool to see that Wart is here. He hasn't appeared in a game for fucking forever. You know, he was in Super Mario Bros. 2. Might have made some cameo appearances in other games since then. But you know, he is in this movie and doesn't really do much. He isn't really in it that much. Honey Queen is in this movie. She doesn't really do much. I honestly feel like you could have, for the most part, removed the scenes with both of them from the movie, and not much. You would have to make some adjustments, but not like a crazy amount of adjustments. Now, and here's the thing as well. I honestly wouldn't be complaining too much about the story if the movie didn't make it seem like it gave a shit at the beginning, right? Like, for example, it tries something interesting with Bowser, you know? I don't want to get too much into spoilers, but it does something interesting at the beginning with Bowser, and then it doesn't really, like, you know, they drop it. There's even something, there's other interesting things that, like, get set up that they drop, you know? And there's other scenes that I feel like you could have cut from the movie. Like, you might have seen from the trailer, there's, like, a scene where Mario and Luigi turn into babies, you know? That scene went on for, like, what, 5 minutes? And then it didn't really mean anything. It felt like just an excuse to turn Mario and Luigi into babies and have, like, look, it's baby Mario, baby Luigi, like a reference to Yoshi's Island or the Mario Kart games where they're there. But honestly, I think the character that gets shafted the most is Rosalina. She's not in this movie that much, which really surprised me. You know, and this is like a Mario Galaxy movie. I feel like Rosalina should be in more of it, right? Now, not that she's not important, she is very important to the entire plot of the movie, but like, I was just surprised by how little she was in it. Like, at certain points, I forgot that Rosalina was in this Mario Galaxy movie. I will say, like, you know, the performances are good. Chris Pratt as Mario has always been confusing, but I think he was fine in this movie. You know, Charlie Day as Luigi, I think is great casting. Jack Black as Bowser, of course, kills it. You get some of like the newer ones though, like Brie Larson as Rosalina when she's in the movie. Not bad. Benny Safdie, I can tell, is having a lot of fun, even if Bowser Jr. is still, I feel like, an odd choice for him. But, you know, and Donald Glover as Yoshi. Yoshi doesn't do much. He's so, like, he does, but he doesn't. He's sort of just there. It felt like he was the stinger at the end. He was the big you know, post-credit scene at the end of the first movie. But then they decided to go in the direction of Galaxy and realize, well, we already announced Yoshi. We gotta use him. I guess we'll just have him tag along. And he doesn't do much, really. Yeah, and then there's also a character that they kind of spoiled like a week ago. In case you are not aware of it, I'm gonna give you a spoiler warning now, even though it is out there. But if you've like avoided the it's not like a leak or anything, like they just announced it, right? But if you have managed to avoid it, I'm giving you a spoiler warning now. 3, 2, 1. Fox McCloud. Fox is in this movie, which was pretty wild to hear, you know, and even more wild when I realized, wait, they're giving him a poster, they're doing a big announcement that he's in this movie, and then they announced that Glenn Powell is voicing Fox, and like, he can't just be like a cameo, you know, he's got to be more than that. You do a big announcement like this, and you have a big name voicing him, he's got to be like a bigger deal in the movie than just, hey guys, I'm Fox, and then goes away. And I will say, he is in this movie quite a bit. I was, even with that expectation of he's got to be in more of it than, like, you know, than just a cameo. Even with that expectation, I was still kind of surprised how important to the plot he was, while also not being that important. It's a weird, because like this didn't really have to be Fox, if that made sense. It felt like they made it Fox just to have like a big surprise in the movie, which then why did they reveal it beforehand? Like, I feel like you're not gonna move ticket sales with the announcement of Fox. Like, nothing against Star Fox, you know, great games and all. That hasn't really been relevant for like 10 years, you know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna get people going. You might get some, but you're like, this isn't gonna make, you know, this, you know, let's be real, probably $1 billion movie up to a $2 billion movie if you add Fox to the movie. But he's in the movie, and he's cool. He's like the coolest character in the movie, and he's you know, Glenn Powell. Like I said, in that little YouTube short I made when he was announced, is an inspired choice as Fox, and he's great as Fox. And I honestly want to see more of Glenn Powell as Fox in like a Star Fox. You know, maybe like a Star Fox movie, or even like a show. I feel like it would lend itself well to a show. But overall, this is a weird movie to review. So on the one hand, did I get what I wanted from it? Yes. I got cameos and Mario Easter eggs and references galore. It was, as a Mario fan, a longtime Mario fan, it was kind of amazing, right? I don't quite agree with the, you know, the simping for this movie, you know, like, glazing it as, like, an 11 out of 10. Like, I feel like that's excessive, but also, it's not, like, a 3 out of 10. But I also understand where these people who don't like the movie are coming from, because it's very light on story. It has a lot, and it sets up interesting dynamics and story elements at the beginning, but then drops them. I think that might be the issue. It's like one thing. It's one thing if you don't really have a very heavy story, right? Like the first movie did that. But it's another thing if you have these story elements and you set them up and they're interesting, but then you don't really follow through. You know, it's like that's the movie's fault. You know. Like, you actually did set things up, and you're not really, you know, and it doesn't, like, leave the door open for things in, like, future movies either, really. It just, like, completely goes back on what it was doing before. So I get that, which makes this a very hard movie to review, because I had a lot of fun with it. I got what I wanted out of it, but I understand the issues, and it's objectively a very flawed movie. So here's what I'm gonna do. The critic in me gives the Super Mario Galaxy movie a 6.5 out of 10. But the Mario fan in me gives it a 9 out of 10. Do with that what you will. That's my review of the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Tricky one to review, but what do you guys think of it? Do you guys like the movie, not like the movie? Have you seen it, not seen it? If you haven't seen it, do you guys want to see it, not want to see it? Anything about the movie, let me know down below. Anyways, if you're excited, come subscribe, or I will destroy your galaxy. I don't remember what I said at the beginning. Destroy your galaxy. Bye!